Hello everybody and welcome back to Herbies Garage. 2025 LIFAN KPT 400. I just got it assembled and you know what comes after that? That's right, this is going to be my PDI video. We're going to go over and we're going to check some things and make sure everything's okay to go riding. And before I do, I want to cover a couple things. One is if you ordered your bike from Venom Motorsports, they sent you out this 15 essential tips to follow to get your bike, prepared, to get it broken in and all that kind of stuff. And it's really valuable information. I like everything that they put in here. They got 15 bullet points. But one of these I just want to bring up real quick, just in case you missed it or didn't read this. It talks about the first oil change. It says it must be done at 300 miles or before. Use the recommended engine oil, 10W40, for the break-in period. Change the oil and filter, if applicable, after the first 300 miles to remove any metal particles. I think that is so very important. Myself, I'm probably going to go 100 to 200 miles before I change my oil. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I thought that was really good. And then I want to go in the owner's manual and I want to give you a couple of statistics about this bike that you might be interested in. The ground clearance on it is 6.3 inches. The curb weight is 458 pounds. The load capacity is 352 pounds. The maximum design speed is 93 miles per hour. And these are all estimates. All this stuff could be off a little bit. We'll find out because we'll be doing a lot of videos on it. Average fuel economy 54.7, and Jerry Hawk 250 was just telling me that his bike so far has been getting in the 70s, so that's great. And fuel capacity is 4.88. That's really, really good. 42.2 horsepower, and that's pretty much it. You can check out your owner's manual if you get one of these, and there's a lot of good information in here. That's one of the first things I believe in the bullet points from Venom is to go over your owner's manual. And I did. I went over my owner's manual before I even assembled the bike. I think it's really important. Okay, let's go ahead and get started in looking over and doing our PDI. One of the first things we want to do is we want to check our pressures in our tire. We'll check the front tire first and see how much we have in it. You can see that it's 22. So I'm going to add air to this. According to the book, we're supposed to have anywhere from 29 to 41. 41 would be a max. So I'm going to shoot for 32 or so in the front tire. So that's 30, 32. I'm going to get just a whisker more. All right, so that's about 32 or so, and that'll put me right up where I need to be. I like these chrome caps, really nice. Now we'll check the rear tire pressure. And we have about 32. I'm going to put about 34 in this. 32, 34. Just a whisker more. That'd be good. I'm about 34 PSI in my rear. So my tire pressures are right on now. If you noticed in my walk around a minute ago, I have this stand on my bike and I have the swing arm spools. This comes with a spot to put swing arm spools in. They're a 10 millimeter if you want to order any. These are, the brand name is Nice CNC, and I'll leave a link in the description for those if you'd like to get the same ones that I got. Now we need to come down here and check the engine oil. Whenever I first got the bike, and I checked this before I ever started it, it was full to the top. And I'm sure it's because the filter didn't have any oil in it yet. But as you can see now, after starting it and running it, it's halfway. Here's the low mark, and there's the high mark, and it's halfway in between, so that's probably perfect. The capacity of oil is 2.5 quarts if you're changing the oil filter with it. And we're going to talk about the oil filter now. And here's the oil filter at the front of the engine. And we're going to change this oil filter as soon as we do our first oil change. Now, there's really no specifications on the number on the oil filter. I just did some measuring and checking, and I'm going to show you the filter I'm going to put in it. This is the filter I plan on putting in it. It's a Fram PH6017A. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the right one or not, but I'm going to try it. From my research, this is a pretty common filter for a lot of engines in this size. So I'm going to try this. I think it will work. It's even compatible to my Honda filter. And there's the part number of my Honda filter if you wanted one of those. But it looks very similar to the Honda. It's about the same size. And every dimension, it's just about the same. So it's a little bit bigger, taller this way on the Fram, but not much. Now it's important to go through and to check your bolts on everything to make sure that everything's tight and torqued down good. As you can see, they have quality control marks. There's a mark here and there's a mark there. So I'm sure that these have been torqued, but you still want to go through and check them. The only information I found on torque values so far is on the front and rear axle, 80 to 100 Newton meters, which at the upper end, 100 would be about 73 foot-pounds of torque. And that's what I would torque mine at. But I would check these brake caliper bolts on both sides. You need to kind of go through and just check bolts. You need to look at all of the water hose fittings to make sure there's no leaks or anything like that after you've ran it for just a little bit. And just check it over. Check all the bolts and all of the hoses and everything that needs to be looked at that you could possibly have a problem with. And you need to check it on both sides. Just go through and just quickly just check the bolts. I just quickly ran through mine. I didn't have anything loose. I think the quality control on this bike is really good. And here is the rear master cylinder reservoir. As you can see, it's full. Here's the front brake reservoir, and it's full as well. And it says it takes DOT3 or DOT4 brake fluid. And if you look underneath here, you'll see the coolant reservoir bottle up there with the pink fluid in it. Mine's perfect. It's about right in the middle. So one thing I wanted to bring up and mention was the spark plugs. This bike comes with a iridium plug, which is fantastic. It's a Torch brand. And there's the number, JH9RC. The reason this plug is out is because I changed it. And I put in the NGK iridium plugs. And there's the part number of what I put in. Thank you, Jerry Hawk 250, for giving me this number because he did the research for it and found this plug for this. NGK is the exact same plug as the Torch. I already changed mine. I got the NGKs in there, and I'm going to leave those in there for a long, long time probably. If you didn't want to change your plugs, it'd be okay. I think these Torch plugs would probably be fine. But I just like to have NGKs in mine. But one thing I wanted to tell you, if you decided to change your plugs, is they're really kind of a recessed hole down there. It's kind of hard to get to. This side's pretty easy. The other side, the right side of the bike, is kind of difficult to get in there. This is a little tip for you I'm going to show you. If you get you a little vacuum line, go over the tip of the plug like this and holds it really good and tight, where it's not going to come off. You can just stick it down in there and you can turn it until it goes all the way down. Once it stops, just pull your rubber hose off, then you can put your socket on and finish tightening it, because you can't really get your hands down in there to tighten it. That's a tip I have for you for that. And it's a 13 millimeter socket for that spark plug. What we're doing is a lot of safety checks. And one thing I wanted to bring up is these reflector stickers. They come with the bike. I didn't show this in my assembly video, but I wanted to show on here that you need to install those because they will help for people to be able to see you when you're on the road. And these are the proper locations to put it, I'm pretty sure, because this one came with two. And it's nice that it's on the corner like that because people from the side can see you, people from the back can see you. So I think it was a good idea to put those there. Now I need to check the chain tension to see how much tension is on it. And it's almost too tight. But you know what? That's a new chain and it'll stretch. So I'm not going to adjust it at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lubricate it with some Motul chain paste. I really like this stuff. I know if you go watch my channel, you've seen me do this 100 times, but I really like to keep my chains well lubricated. You just squeeze a little bit onto the brush applicator, and then you can roll your wheel around as you apply it. A little bit more. I usually squeeze out about, I don't know, maybe 3 good squeezes, sometimes 4. Really depends. I think that'll be plenty there. It'll work its way in. Putting it on the inside of the chain is probably the best method of doing it because that's where your sprockets are riding, is inside there. I think that's lubricated really good now. Next thing we need to do, we need to check our play and our clutch handle. And mine is absolutely perfect. And if you need to adjust it, you just pull this back and you can just turn this wheel here, the smaller one. Going out will give you less gap, in would give you more. So mine's perfect. I'm not even going to mess with it. It's almost all the way in, which is fine with me. And you just slide your rubber back on it like that. Now I want to show you a little feature on this that I really just found just looking the bike over. It's got a little wheel right here. And I wasn't really sure what that was. I've seen wheels on the top like this have numbers like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I've never seen anything like this. Watch what happens. I'll put this, pull this clutch in just a little bit. And watch what happens. Watch my hand. I'm not pulling the clutch in. See how that's coming closer? See how the distance is right there? And the clutch isn't even pulled in. What that's for is if you got small hands and you don't have to reach so far. If you got big hands, you just open it up like that and gives you more reach. And you can adjust it individually for your own hands. Love that idea. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to check the throttle free play. And that's way too much. So we'll take our rubber boot and slide it off up here. And expose our adjuster right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this loose. It's like an 8mm. Okay. Now we'll just adjust it by hand until we get it where we want it. We'll just keep going out until it gets less and less. All we want is about an 1/8 inch. That's about it. That's about good right there. That's good. So we'll take our jam nut and run it up to it. And we'll tighten this down. We'll slide our boot back over it. And it'd probably be easier if your thing was loose over here like this. I loosened mine. so that you can move it around to get to the adjustment and all that. And once you're done with it, just take your 14 millimeter and snug this back up like that. And now you're good. So that'll work perfect. One other thing I want to show you is it's got a key that comes with your remote that opens your seat. I like that. I don't like to have tools to have to take my seat off. But I want to show you something real quick. Okay, let me take my seat off. Now back here in the back is where your toolkit is. And if you're wondering where that little rubber band's supposed to go, I just wrap it around the bag and then it loops over this slot right here to hold it in so it doesn't fall out. But what I wanted to show you was I put a key to my luggage inside of my tool bag just in case I lost my key or whatever and I needed to get into my luggage. I know I would always have this key for the luggage as long as I had the key to the bike. And if I lost the key to the bike, that would really be a tragedy. Hopefully that never happens. They do give you 2 key fobs though, so that's wonderful. So it just sets down in there like that and just ties it on. That secures your tool bag. And then whenever you go to put the seat back on, it's got 2 hooks here and a hook here and a hook here, and then it latches back here in the back. Just got to kind of work it in place and then line it up and just give it a little bump. And it sets down in there and locks securely. Now that we've got all the checks done that we need to do, we're going to check our turn signals and our lights and all that kind of stuff because that's important. So now we're going to start it up. And we'll turn the emergencies on first. And the rear ones are working. And the front ones are working. The headlights working. Low beam's working. High beam. Low beam, high beam. Okay, we'll turn the signals off again. Now we'll turn the high beam and low beam so you can see the beam there on the wall. And that's the high beam. I don't have any idea what it's going to look like in the dark. It's really bright, but the high beam isn't spread out a whole lot, but it might be enough whenever you're riding. Then we'll check the horn. Then we'll check the horn next. Okay, that's good and loud. Woo. Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah, that's working. Hit the front brake. It's working as well. Now on the engine on this, before you take it out and go for a ride, you want to do a couple of heat cycles, idling heat cycles. Hopefully you still have it on the pallet like I did whenever you do your idling heat cycles. Don't do it on the kickstand. If you have it off of the pallet, sit on the bike and let it idle while you're on the bike because you don't want it leaning off to the side. You want that oil to circulate and get in all the right spots and everything. You don't want all the oil going to one side. So do it with the bike level. And on the first heat cycle, I've already done mine. So what I did is I started it up. I did not hit the throttle. I just let it idle. And let it idle until I started feeling the sides of the engine. And once I felt like it was getting pretty warm, I shut it off. I let it cool down most of the way. It still may have had just a tiny bit of warmth left in it. I don't know how long that was. But then on the second heat cycle, I started it up and I let it idle. I maybe hit the throttle just a little bit every now and then, but I let it warm up until the cooling fan came on. Once the cooling fan came on, I let the cooling fan cycle all the way, and once it went off, I shut the bike off, let it cool all the way down before I started it back up again. Now I'm ready to go do my break-in ride. I think I'm pretty much done with everything. I did the assembly correctly, I believe, and I did all the checks on it that we need to check. And lubricating the chain, in my view, is a very important thing before you even take your first ride. Checking the tire pressure is extremely important. I know we have tire pressure monitoring systems, but it's good to physically check it so you know what's in it. And like I said, it ranges from like 29 to 41. So, I mean, you just got to think about that. That's a pretty good range. 41 is a maximum. You don't want get up that high because if you get too high, your tires want to round a little bit. You get a lot of uneven wear and you don't have good contact, road surface, and all that. So I like to stay kind of closer to the lower end. So 32, 34 in that range is a good number. I like to have a little bit more in the back than I do in the front because it has more luggage and different things. I know we have the engine in the front, which adds to the weight as well, but that's just the way it's always been in all my bikes. The back tire always has a little bit more, especially if you're wanting to take a passenger along with you or load down your luggage. Excuse me. And I just want to mention too that the luggage has a weight capacity of like 12, 13 pounds. So don't overload your luggage. That's not a good idea. And if this is your first time riding a bike like this, you don't want to put everything on one side because it's going to make your bike want to go to that side. So you got to kind of even the weight out. So if you're bringing along some stuff, put some stuff in this side and some stuff in this side to kind of even it out. The top box will hold a motorcycle helmet, and I like that. But I'll probably put an outside lock on the rack underneath of it. So in case there's a passenger helmet I want to take, or if I got everything loaded, then I'll have another spot to lock my helmet. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you. Now I wanted to also mention that whenever you go to fill this bike up, use premium gas. Don't be cheaping out on it. That's just my opinion. It's got a pretty high compression on it. It's like 11.5 to 1. And when you get higher compression, it's really good to run higher octane. I have 93 octane in mine. I'm going to take it up probably pretty soon, next few days or whatever, to fill it up. I do have my bike registered and licensed and insured, so it's ready to go. Apparently, this was the first one in Illinois because they didn't have the VIN number in the registration thing, but everything went through. It just took a little bit of time. And so now, especially if you're in Illinois, you can thank me because I opened the door for you. And I'm telling you, this white color is killer. I just love it. Now, I know the gray ones, people like that too. As you can see, I have this tank protector that I put on here. I peeled the stickers off of it and put the tank protector on it. I like that. I put the swing arm spools on it. I changed the spark plugs. And I'm going to do a few other things. I can't remember what else I was going to do. I know I'm going to put lights on the front. And there's a few other things I wanted to do. I do want to get a cup holder. You guys that follow my channel know I can't ride a bike without a cup holder. So there's some things I'm going to do to it. I'll probably do a video on some of the accessories I put on it if I decide to put very many accessories on it. I do need a phone holder on it so I can check GPS and stuff like that. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you coming along, and I'll see you on the next one.